Okay, let's do this thing. What's up, everybody, and welcome to my review of AEW Dynamite. You know what? I haven't really done a lot of these things, given they had 200 episodes last week, and how bad that was. Why not we hit them with the 201, okay? And I got a lot to say about this show when it comes to a lot of inconsistencies or things that don't make sense or what's pretty bad and whatnot. Now, let's start off with the beginning of this show, as they had all the Jericho Appreciation Society members in the ring, which almost kind of looked like a Monday Night Raw segment, but they had them all out there having this big meeting for Chris Jericho to come out and, talking about having, being in the ring without him and, saying that they were friends and all this stuff. But next, Garcia cut him off, basically saying, you don't need to talk, you just need to listen. And talk about how he got hit with a bat last week and Jericho took the pin anyways. And I looked at you as my idol, and Jericho didn't choose him. And, it basically says, I'm not going to choose Jericho anymore. And if for some reason, I know this is what's getting Garcia over, but he basically says he doesn't pledge any allegiance to Jericho, and then just starts dance. He's doing his little dance in front of him, then, which was funny but ridiculous at the same time. Hager started talking about, I've been all over the world with you. I've known you the longest, but I like that hat, but you know, he doesn't know if he could appreciate Jericho anymore. So he's out of there then. And everyone that's still there, Jericho basically talked about, Anna Jay and Tay Conti. I made Tay Conti into a star. And Anna Jay, you're having a title match tonight. But Tay Conti basically went on saying, I what used to be proud to be in this group. Now she feels sick. Not because she's pregnant, but she says she's gonna go have her kid, and then whenever she comes back, she will become a champion because she's not in this group anymore. And Anna Jay said, yeah, you helped out a bit, but it's time for her to be selfish right now. I get a title shot tonight, but I'm not going to appreciate Jericho anymore. So they left. Everrise, one Everrise guy's basically saying, I idolized you. I did everything for you. I gave you everything. But what have you given me lately? So he left him no choice. Then, I think Menard there talked about he idolized Jericho. He was his childhood hero. He bought his T-shirt where he got his first paycheck, and talked about how he invited him into Jericho's home and helped him get a job in AEW, and it meant everything to him. But he talked about guys like Eddie Kingston and Kevin Steen, Owens. Now he understands why everybody hates his guts. And then Sammy basically went on saying, you need to listen to me. I've always had your back. You've helped me from day one. And, I went from the world title to helping you fight one of your battles. I put Sting through a table because you wanted me to do it. And listen, I've always been loyal, so I'm not walking out on you, okay? But you got some issues you got to figure out on your own right now. And let me just say this about this whole Jericho Appreciation Society thing. When you think about Jericho, has he really helped all these guys get to a bigger part or made them big stars? In a way, Sammy, okay, he made Sammy into something. Anyone can say that. And that was from the get go when AEW just began. If we want to go all the way from the inner circle, let's remember Sammy was a guy with a panda bear on his head, just going around dancing. Um, Garcia, he did help a lot because Garcia was kind of somewhere, even though I felt like, and listen, I can argue. Some other people I know that argue this too, that they should have put Garcia in the whole Blackpool Combat Club thing, which I thought they were going to lead to, but they ended up putting Yuta in. But at least he got some main events out of it at the same time. Tay Conti, listen, she just kind of was just part of Sammy. That was it. She was just basically the manager, the valet for him. So it's not, I don't really think she ever went that far being in the whole Jericho group thing. Anna Jay just got more annoying and doing the whole "I'm gonna choke you out, choke you out." Yeah, my friend Steven would kind of argue that she was more over than Dark Order, but that's apples and oranges, and there's a lot of reaching in both of those directions when you look at Anna Jay needed a Dark Order or the Jericho thing. But at least they were calling her the Queen Slayer, and it looked like they had something going. But the whole "I'm gonna choke you out, I'm gonna choke you out, I'm gonna choke you out," and running around was annoying, and I did not care. And Everrise Everrise, take what you gonna take from Everrise. It is what it is. Jake Hager, he ain't gonna get any better. He ain't gonna get any worse. He is just there. Okay, Jake Hager is there. So I don't know what he can do really on his own right now. I don't know, but I don't think a lot of people care at the same time when you think about it when it comes to Hager. So I don't know where all these guys are gonna go. Sammy's still kind of loyal to him, so we'll see what happens. But I do question where the others are gonna go off though too. If they have anything. Tay Conti gets a technicality out given that she's pregnant, so she gets a kind of a technicality there. Everybody else, I don't know. May Garcia will be okay, but the others, I'm not really sure. But they all walked out on him. They left Jericho by himself, and then Jericho was walking in the back, and Callis says, are you going to join the Don Callis family? And he says he's going to make his decision next week. So this felt like, I don't know, a Raw segment in a way when you see if they would open up a Raw with a big promo battle here, or that promo battle, but a big segment like that. So there you go. The Young Bucks went against the Hardys. At least I'm glad to see Jeff Hardy doing something finally and somewhat important, and he looked good here. I'll give him that. It wasn't a bad match. I'm not really surprised who won, given that the Young Bucks are going for the tag team titles, which, FTR challenged them on Collision last Saturday for Wembley and whatnot. But it wasn't a bad match. BT trigger on Matt Hardy, so I'm not really surprised by that. Yeah, FTR coming out basically saying all in, accepting the challenge since the Bucks wanted to do it. It's kind of crazy because they said there's just some bad blood, and let's be honest, it's gonna be all in. But let's go back to last year for all in, all out. Remember, and I think a lot of people had said this, they should have done this match last year when FTR had all the tag team titles in their possession, and the Bucks did have the AEW tag team titles. But it was kind of weird because they only wanted to focus on going after those 6-man belts, and I thought the money match was lost from there because Keith Lee and Swerve were the tag team champions, which I didn't mind them winning, but I thought the big match was going to be FTR versus the Bucks for all the gold. Because when FTR had the Ring of Honor tag titles, the IWGP tag titles, the AAA tag titles, they would have became basically the biggest thing if they got the AEW tag titles. They got the AEW tag titles now, but it's always been said that the Bucks didn't want to take an L to them or the reaction of the crowd. And maybe now because there's new contracts and they all signed new deals, maybe it's different now and they'll do business. But will FTR go over the Bucks at Wembley, or the Bucks are going to go over them at Wembley? That's a real question there. So really think about that for a second. But the match is actually happening. But it probably should have been over a year ago when they had all the gold and it should have been on the line. But I guess they finally decided to do business this time. Also, they announced another tournament. Another tournament. It's always a tournament, and this tournament makes no sense for the AEW Women's title. And I'm going to get to how this main event, how I didn't care, especially when I figured out it was going to be the main event. So let's get this straight. Last week, Hikaru Shida, goes against Tony Storm, wins the title. Tony Storm gets a buy-in. Basically, it's a tournament to see who will enter the Fatal 4-Way for Wembley, and it's kind of easy to call who's going to win this. Tony Storm, sorry, gets a buy-in, okay? That is what it is. Sheeta's going against Anna Jay. We all know who's going to win that. Obviously, Sheeta. She just won the belt last week. Sky Blue versus Saraya. They want Saraya in there because it's the UK. And then, Britt Baker versus the Bunny next week. We haven't seen in God knows how long. I guess she was hurt. But Baker's going to go in there. So it's kind of easy who's going to be calling this Fatal 4-Way. And then again, this is Tony's answer to everything. Is just, tournament matches is always a damn tournament. Why didn't just have Tony Storm go against Sheeta at Wembley, maybe in some special match type or something? They could do that. But then again, you talk about rematch clauses. When has anybody in AEW really had a rematch clause? Think about that. If somebody else wins the titles, there's never really any type of rematch clause in. So they really were saying Tony's got a rematch, but she's basically now gonna buy in to be in the Fatal 4-Way. So I'm gonna get to that main event in a second, but still, a lot of this doesn't make sense. And it's like, do we really need to see another tournament? Because we already know who's actually gonna win in this. So, like I said, Saraya 9 times out of 10 will be in there because it's the UK, and Baker will get in there because it's Baker. So I'm gonna get to that in a second. But Adam Cole and MJF, basically, I guess MJF thought they're going to be skinny dipping with rats, but, Cole, they were at a trampoline place, and, so we're going to play video games and, trampolines and all this stuff. MJF basically got kind of mad, said, I thought we were going to the bar and talk to hot chicks, and he says, oh, you want me to play, we got to play like kids? All right, I'll play like kids. So MJF basically took all these dodgeballs and killed all these kids there, which I actually thought was hilarious and a great segment. But he talked about how one kid was adopted and said, "I slept with your mom, and I'm your dad and everything." And Cole says, "You can't do that to your kids." And I just thought it was funny. MJF basically murdered these kids with a dodgeball and showed them like getting killed. That was funny. So the term "F them kids" would come up right now. And then some girl basically says, "You two are grown men at a trampoline park. You guys are nerds." Or she called him mean. And then Cole basically, she shouldn't talk like that. So yeah, we can kill this one then at least. And then the girl flipped her off and MJF, yeah, let's just throw one more ball. You want to flip me off? Yeah, MJF, throw another ball. Kill this kid. So that segment was actually funny. Okay, that was good. The Blackpool Combat Club talked about how they beat up the best friends in a parking lot brawl. This makes no sense to me, given this is a 2-week feud, and we've already seen a no DQ match, and now a parking lot brawl on Rampage, which I didn't even watch. But then again, why was it even a parking lot brawl? And I guess Pac is hurt now, so we don't know when he's gonna be back. But they're facing the Lucha Brothers later on in the night. Um, right after that, we had Rob Van Dam making his AEW Dynamite debut, I should be saying. I know it was last week, but in ring debut this week. But yes, RVD came out to walk. RVD was over. The face Jack Perry. I have to remember these are FTW rules, but I thought Van Dam looked good out here. Okay, it was RVD. He can still go. He can still move in the ring. He did his stuff from the Rolling Thunder to the whole split-legged moonsault to the that that kick he does onto the apron to the outside of the ring. And Jack Perry trying to use weapons and stuff, even roll up RVD. Next thing you know, it was a ref bumped in. RVD did hit the 5-star frog splash, but he got the pin, but then they sent Donald Stevens out there to make the count. But Jack Perry kicked out. RVD started talking with the referee. Jack Perry low blowed him and then, basically rolled up RVD and won. So, listen, I know it's a lot of people I know that were very excited to see Van Dam. I was excited to see RVD back, especially on TV in general and whatnot in a match. RVD is still one of my favorites. RVD is basically my top five, in my top five of all time. I don't care. But it's Van Dam. He's one of the GOATs and whatnot. I didn't. Some people I know that probably didn't want to see this because one, they didn't want to see him losing to Jack Perry of all people, and I know they're trying to get Jack Perry over as a heel. But like, damn, we really gonna sacrifice Rob Van Dam to him? Like, seriously, Rob Van Dam, we're sacrificing him, and Van Dam moved out good out here. Okay, I thought he moved really good. I know some people would be worried, given they had that documentary about concussions he had made a couple years ago, with his struggles with them and stuff. But Van Dam seemed to be moving fine out there, and he looked okay. So I thought Van Dam looked good overall in general. Did I really want to see Jack Perry beat him? Hell no. Okay, but they rolled him up. But still, you got to roll your eyes at this at the same time, given like we really sacrificed RVD to Jack Perry. Really think about that. Right after that, MJF and Cole were back out there again. Talk about again about promo battle and everything, and he talked about how skinny Cole is, that Hogan would snort him, and he talked about MJF's what Cole's brain not working, and Cole told him to stop. We're not doing a promo battle, but then you're misreading what's going on. Got Wembley Stadium coming up, but we should go in as a tag team, and since they couldn't get the AEW tag titles, now they want the Ring of Honor tag titles, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, you kind of went for the lesser tag titles when you wanted since you lost the higher tag titles. And Cole basically talked about it means a lot to him because he's done it all in Ring of Honor. He's been a Ring of Honor World Champion, Television Champion, Survival of the Fittest, but he's never held the ROH tag titles. And he talked about teams that have won those belts from, Red Dragon, the Briscoe brothers, and whatnot, the Kings of Wrestling, but they want the ROH tag titles, and it should be on the pre-show, which makes also zero sense. And I'm kind of like MJF, like, you some sick pervert. Like, why would they even need to wrestle twice in one night? One, why are they on the YouTube show doing it? And two, this is the world champion. Why does he need to wrestle twice, especially on the YouTube show, for the Ring of Honor tag team titles? And then I guess they wanted that match then, but then Roderick Strong came out there saying Adam, and I thought you're my best friend, and you rather tag with him instead of tag with me and ROH legend. MJF called him a jealous girlfriend, which he really is, and a generic white guy, which just crying and basically bitching and whatnot. He called him a bland bitch. Go back and listen to your Taylor Swift music. Um, Fans started to chant "Shake It Off," and then basically Strong said, "Never mind, the kingdom was right. You never were my friend." And then the kingdom come out and hug him then. So, do I really want to see the kingdom? Not really. Do I care for the kingdom that much? Not really. Would some say Adam Cole was the kingdom? Yes. Roderick Strong came off very bitchy. Roderick Strong's promos are still not good. Let me say that. I've said that for a while. His promos still sound bad, but they are making him like just bitching as the jealous girlfriend. And once again, I don't really see any reason for MJF and Cole to be going for the Ring of Honor tag team titles all of a sudden, because Cole tried to explain as best as he could. But why were they going to be on the pre-show on YouTube to face them? I don't know. So whenever I guess they face Aussie Open, I'm not sure. I know they played a video package of Collision. I would say the better show. One thing Dynamite could not get right that AEW is Collision is that AEW Collision is basically more the sports-based wrestling product that they did promise when this company was first created. AEW Dynamite is far from that. So Collision has it down on track. Next, the Lucha Brothers went against Moxley and Claudio, which, you think this match would probably get a bigger reaction given that Moxley's from Ohio, but I remember this is Columbus and that's Cincinnati. But the match was good. I just don't know how much people cared. Maybe they waited for Mox to bleed. I'm surprised he didn't bleed in this match, but they won, taking off Pentagon's mask, which the referee didn't even catch it, by the way. And then they beat up the Lucha Brothers, and, Claudio put Penta's mask on, so, you know, it is what it is, but I didn't even see Penta's mask get even pulled off until they said something about it. So yeah, Blackpool Combat Club won. I guess Moxley didn't bleed this time. Um, Kenny Omega, I guess, was leaving. Omega was leaving. Talk about, what is it? Marvez there asked him about what match does he have coming up for Wembley, and it says you'll find out next week. Um, Next thing you know, the Mogul Embassy come out, Swerve and crew after they beat the living hell out of Nick Wayne last week. Brian Cage, for some reason, dresses like 1980s Sting. I don't know why. I thought he was trying to be like World Warrior Hawk at first, but he continues to dress like World Warrior, but he dresses like 80s Sting. But yeah, he dresses like Sting for some odd reason. But basically, Swerve and them talked about what happened last week, how they took out Nick Wayne and went up to his house. And, Darby Allin came out then talking about AR Fox. Are you mad because I got Darby a job before you and everything? And he said he respected him. And you got here at AEW on your own. But, you know, this is about, I know you say he knows what he's doing. And, you got yourself some new friends and whatnot. Darby said, I still got some friends too. Next thing you know, the lights go out. Sting shows up with the baseball bat, taking down the Mogul Embassy. And then, he hit Swerve with the bat then, which, by the way, one of the security guards, I know they were jumping the barricade, but they hit Darby right in the face with his foot. But Sting got Swerve in the ring, put the bat to his throat, pointing at the All-In sign, and now at All-In it will be Sting and Darby Allin versus Swerve and AR Fox in a coffin match. So Sting is back, folks, and he will be at Wembley in a coffin match. And good for Fox even getting a match on this show, especially in front of a big stage too. Right after that was the main event. And once again, why is this even the main event? Why is it a tournament match for the AEW Women's title? Which, got me. It's like, okay, you had this as the main event because it was that, you know, that whole book the women's division better sign. Now, are you putting this in the main event again this week due to what? The whole Lufisto thing that's been going on online about her talking about the women's division, how the locker room is right now, and everything that's going on. Are you putting them in the main event for that again? And it's like, who cares this time? You could have put Van Dam in them in the main event, and that would have ended off better. But I was not really paying much attention to this match. I guess one of the Everrise guys tried to grab Sheeta's hand at the last second. Sheeta won. That's no surprise. She was gonna enter this whole fatal 4-way thing anyway. She's the champion, but still, Why was this the main event? I didn't care. I was halfway paying attention to it. I was talking to my friend on the phone, then pay attention to this match. So I don't know why they decided to put this in the main event. Is it because of that sign or Lufisto? Because that's what it looks like to me out there. And I didn't care. And then again, I don't really care about this tournament in general. So it is what it is. I had no reason to pay much attention to this. Honestly, with Dynamite, looking at this whole show tonight, with the Jericho people turning their back on Jericho and Cole and MJF is funny. I enjoyed him. But Sting returning, yeah, the Hardys and the Bucks is okay. Lucha Brothers and the Blackpool Combat Club was whatever. I enjoyed to see Van Dam. I just enjoyed seeing him because it's Van Dam. Didn't want to see him lose to Jack Perry there, but I was just happy to see Van Dam. That's it. But overall, Dynamite was Dynamite. But then again, there's a lot reason why a lot of people are now saying Collision is the better show right now. So yeah, Dynamite was Dynamite. They're still trying to build into Wembley. So yeah. Other than that though, I'm out of here. Comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Hood Knight 890. See y'all then. Peace out.